Welcome, everybody. This is the Mother Hustler podcast. My name is Kareen Mills, and I am your host. We are blessed today to have an opportunity to hear this wonderful woman's story, Lisa Brumm. Lisa, are you there?
I am. Good morning. How are you, Green?
I am doing wonderful. And Lisa, you tag yourself as the financial girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I love, I never forgot that since I first met you. So kudos to you for branding yourself in the financial world. When I think of financial girlfriend, I think of talking about my finances over a glass or sometimes a bottle of wine.
Absolutely.
How did that come about? And just take us through your journey as a mom and a career woman and now a business owner. You actually own your own firm now, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah, it's actually, I didn't even think of branding when it literally just flew out of my mouth as there was a piece of fear in that because I had been brought up as an impromptu up on a stage in front of about 200 other entrepreneurs and businesswomen. And the funny part of it is, as I was walking up to the stage, gripping, fear was in the bottom of my stomach. And I just kept telling myself, be funny and get the heck off the stage, right? And so, and I only had a minute, so I really just didn't want to be that tried and true, kind of the typical financial advisor that kind of talks about charts and rates and graphs. And I just wanted to be me. And I had just turned 50. So I do think there's some magic in just owning your own voice and wanting to just be who you are, take it or leave it, love it or not. But I really just wanted to kind of just embrace everyone and just felt a lot of fear, but on the same side, I was like, what can I say that's going to, catch people's attention? And really, literally was just a impromptu moment. I think paraphrasing myself, it was about 3.5 years ago. I said something to the effect of, "Hey, ladies, we're all in business, and we set coffee dates. We go out to lunch together. Heck, we even go to the bathroom together. Why aren't we talking about money in our business with your financial girlfriend? And by the way, I'll be over by the bar for the rest of the night." And I just flew off the stage because I just wanted. I wanted just to be me, and that's kind of who I am. I want to be funny, but I want to be compassionate, and I want to be able to show people that it isn't hard. Money is such a big thing, and I have been doing this for about 21 years now, and 8 years before that, I worked for First Interstate Bank. And I always just wanted everybody to feel at ease and less stress. And I think one of the biggest compliments that I had gotten over those years was, "Lisa, I can sleep better at night now. I have a plan. I have you to call. I can text you if I have a question." So to me, I'm like, yeah, I want to be the girlfriend, and I want to be that person who keeps secrets and girlfriend's got your back.
Well, financial secrets, that is, because, it's highly regulated industry and there's a lot of
Absolutely.
confidentiality and all that good stuff. But the word secret instead of confidential, it's a lot more girlfriend terminology.
Exactly. Yeah, I won't breach any confidence. And I think one of the other things that's kind of fun is that if I've ever had, a gathering or I do events, much like HIPAA and doctors, they can't really acknowledge you as a patient. I feel the same loyalty and the same amount of confidentiality for my clients. And so I'll have people come that aren't clients, and I have people that have come that are clients. And it's them telling their story or what their interaction has been, versus me pulling anybody or saying anything about them being. So I always say that's an acid test, because, if you come to an event, you might not know that any of them are clients. You might find that out during the conversation. Is that me making a bad noise?
Mhm.
Hang on. Okay, I'm not touching anything. Okay. Anyway, can you get me? Are we having a bad connection?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, sometimes it just goes in and out, but for the most part,
Okay.
it's there. I could hear you.
Okay.
So, so how did you get in the industry? Because you said you worked for a bank, right?
Yes. So I'm born and raised Portland, Oregon. I went to Portland State. I thought I wanted to be a CPA, and I worked as an intern, an admin. I was the receptionist, and I did, file documents, and I did tax deposits for clients of the firm. And in my last year of working or being a student, the senior partner came to me and said, Lisa, if you stick with us for a while and we'll help you get through your boards. And to me, that meant, I guess I didn't get it in writing, but that meant that they would help pay for it was $500 at the time to file to get your application into the boards. And I went into my annual review and I said, I have everything all pre-filled out. And I told the senior partner, we just need the company credit card to pay for it, and I'll send it off and I'll be able to take my boards in October. And he kind of looked at me and he said, well, I'll have to get the other partners to agree. And my stomach again tells me a lot. It just sunk. I was like, I don't know that this is going to happen. And so I went home.
Right.
I went home and talked to my husband. And we came, like, I'm really anti-controversial. I just don't like a lot of controversy or having a lot of confrontation with people, unnecessarily, I should say. But anyway, so I went home with my husband and we talked about it. And all I could come up with is just write a resume and start looking for another job. And luckily, in that same building that the CPA firm was in, there was a First Interstate branch. And I had gotten to know a lot of the staff there by going down and running deposits. So I handed the assistant manager my application, and it wasn't.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
give me a minute. I'm gonna switch to another Wi-Fi because I feel like it's my issue.
Oh, okay.
Hang on just a sec.
Sure.
Technology, gotta
I
love on
know. Love
Morhado.
it. I love it. Love it. Love it.
784. Let me try this one.
Okay.
I'm in. I think we got it. I think this is way. Can you hear me good?
I can.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That is actually way better.
Whoa. Do you want to start over?
No.
You're just going to tape and edit as you have to?
It's okay. I just go with the flow,
Okay. Got it.
Awesome. So tell me about motherhood for you, because you have a son or two?
I have an older son who's Max is 26, and a 17-year-old daughter who's very sassy. Sometimes I believe she thinks she's 26, so she definitely has her voice. She's very vocal.
That's good. That's good and bad. I mean, I guess there's some issue with that, but I feel like when they can vocalize themselves and they can, sometimes though, I think the teenage girls, they get real aggressive to their moms.
Yeah.
And
we have a really good.
I say that from my own experience with my mother.
Yes. No, I remember. Yeah, there's always some rough patches, but you know what? I always look at it. I think having Max first was kind of, it was definitely a blessing, because he was very rational. I mean, there was just the sense of I could talk it out with him. We could find pathways. We could find a compromise. We could find a place in the middle. He definitely had, his wants and needs also. But, between my husband and I, I think we did pretty well. He's very much, he's a bright, shining star. He's, got his life at his fingertips. He's very industrious. He works 2 or 3 different jobs. He's always going for it. So he's a good kid. And then he led us to, and then 9-year gap, and then having Pearl, girls are much different than boys. And I love the fact that I have great, deep, in-depth conversations, but they're usually when there's nobody else around. So I get little. I always say, Pearl, you always give me these little glimpses of the future, Pearl. Right now you might be a little sassy or too sassy or talking back to me or not wanting to do something that's probably pretty important. But again, it's always kind of a matter. It just takes a longer time for her to process the why, why I'm asking her to do something versus just, I don't want to do it, so.
Yeah. Your oldest sounds like my oldest. Very, very much of like ambitious, and is not really afraid to work.
No, yeah, definitely.
So that's amazing. So 2 kids, but they're grown, young adults. Yes. How is it for you? Because you started your career when they were little.
Yeah,
right?
In fact.
So how was that? Because that's, older adults or young adult kids are obviously a different sets of problems. And then when they're littler, there's a different set of problems. So take us through all that and challenges that you faced that maybe you have overcome, and how did you quite overcome those challenges as a mom and then career woman and
no, definitely
juggling those things.
Yeah, as I was saying before, I got a job with First Interstate Bank when the CPA firm kind of fell flat for me. And so I felt very much, I was going to be a career banker. I was going to just be at the bank forever. It was a great environment. The culture was all about service to the client. In fact, you stuck with the client. So if you got a client, even if you were at the teller row and they were unhappy about a fee or they needed to talk to somebody about a statement or something that they couldn't resolve, you got to stay with them. You would go make the phone call. You would go sit at a desk with them.
Right.
You would make sure that you got the answer. Plus, I would say, this was the late 80s, early 90s, and you could actually you could actually waive a fee. You had the authority to do certain things to make sure the client was happy, because bottom line, it was do the right thing for the client and then right things will happen for the company. And so it definitely was that environment. So Max was about 3 years old at that time. And, I just thought it was the way you do it. You put your kid in. My mom stayed with him until he was out of diapers, and so we checked him into a preschool, and it was hustle him to school, get him to the daycare, get to work by 7 a.m. I was in management at that, I came right into the management role, and you work till 7 p.m. So my husband was 8 to 5. I'd get him to school. Max would get picked up by his dad. Bill was the cook in the family. He always has been. So he'd take care of the evening duties. And then I'd get home and I'd have just maybe, a half an hour, 45 minutes to hang out with my kiddo. And weekends were cherished. I mean, truly,
yes.
You say banker hours 8 to 5, but the thing twisted when First Interstate was one of the first banks to open up kiosk banking in your Fred Meyers and Safeways, and opening up on Saturdays was just a
Sundays.
Yeah, well, at first it was just Saturdays, and then they went to Sundays, and by then I just realized I had been with the bank probably. I was there for 8 years total, and during that time span, I was, it was that. Just when am I ever going to see this kid grow up? My mom got to see him walk for the first time, which killed me. Lots of mom guilt, and I was just always like, what can I do to, with the moments that I do have, how can I just make this the most for myself and for him? So I don't know that if you would ask him, he felt like he was abandoned by any means, because he had grandmas and he had grandpas around too. So, but it was definitely a supportive system, and one that I don't think I could do. I have so much admiration for moms that are single moms, because I can't even imagine how I would have connected or made that work at all. So, but yeah, it was hard, and it felt really, there's a lot of emotion and baggage that I carried around with the feeling that I'm just, not with my kid the whole time. So, but what part of that change is that when the Saturday banking started happening and Wells Fargo was about to do a takeover, they offered some packages. So I actually nabbed one of the very first time, first packages to get out of there.
Wow.
I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought I was this career banker. And I'm like, there's got to be other ways that I can manage momhood and enjoy my life and my work. And so that's literally when I took the leap of faith and just jumped right into being a financial advisor. I had to get licensed before they would accept me. And so there was about 3 to 4 months of just, going back to the books and studying and getting all the 3 different licenses that you need. And then I'm like, oh, I have the freedom to be with my kid when I need to. And so we did that for a while. And I got, got past year 5, and that's kind of a big mark in this industry, especially as a woman. It's, unheard of that. I mean, I was always just 1 or 2 of the other women in the office with, 35 men. So, and I just kept all of the things that I loved about the banking culture and about doing the right thing for clients and the educational pieces and making people understand that they have choices and decisions that they can feel really good about. And so I just always took that approach when I was working with them for the money piece. Because I know, maybe you can agree with me, Crane, because I know that you've been in there too, is that America is pretty poorly educated when it comes to money. And
financial, I think it's all across the world, and financial education, and then you put a layer on top where it's taboo to talk about money. Some families don't talk about money. I'm very open about money when it comes, for my kids, because I think they need to understand the cost to live. And, it's not just money of saying we have a lot of money, but also saying, kids, I can't, at this point in time, we have a budget and we can't afford, we came to the store to buy groceries and I can't afford to buy another $1 of candy bar, and
exactly.
It's really important to me for them to, I'm not saying that I'm nickel and diming everything, but to me, it's super important to me for my children to really truly understand what it takes to have a house, what it takes to be able to pay for bills, and how much work I put in every single day on top of being their mother, making their lunch and breakfast in the morning.
Exactly.
And I'm very passionate about it at this moment because we just went through this morning, in the car, because, things were being left behind. My youngest couldn't find their jacket, and it was, it's the fall season. It gets really cold in the morning. Granted, it gets a little warmer down the road in the afternoon, but, and that crunches time and takes away our time. And, I have to say that I have to be vulnerable in front of my children and say, as great as you guys think I am, I promise you, I can't do it all.
Yeah.
And I need your help. And, looking for your jacket when it could have been done while I was making for your lunches and making breakfasts while you weren't eating yet. I mean, it's just like optimizing morning time. It's super challenging. And
it is.
Then we talked about, because we were refinancing our home right now. And we talked about, some of the key factors in refinancing, and we're taking some cash out. So, because we want to be buying distressed properties once the market slows down and there's a lot of foreclosures. So we're really preparing ourselves financially to be able to be in that game. But then I get the quote from the lender, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's increasing, obviously, because we're taking cash out.
Yeah.
It's like not doubling the payment, but it's pretty significant. And I was telling my son, I was scared just to see it. And because I have to, I'm so overwhelmed in my head, I have to write things down to unload it, to be able to make this sound decision. And then here comes my husband's like, we can do it. And, for me, you probably know this because you're the financial girlfriend. For me, I see the money come and go.
Yeah.
And when I see a big number, it impacts me more than it does my husband, because he doesn't see the little details on a daily basis.
Right.
But anyways, it's important to talk about money. So I want to get into the way that you were raised around money, and how was that in your own household? Because I know for a lot of us women, we take care, for most of us, the financial budgeting in our household. But at the same time, how was your mom teaching you about money, or was it like a taboo, like a lot of families?
You know, it's really interesting because my mom was about 10 years older than my dad, and she was second oldest to 13 kids. And our grandma was always around too. And so I think about my mom. She grew up literally through the Depression. She was born in 1925. Wow. And so she, being the second to oldest, they lived out on a farm out in past Canby, out Colton is actually the area that they had a farm in. And so as a kid growing up, I just remember she always had a little sock drawer, or, you know, a little sock of money. She tucked money in a Folgers can. I mean, she was literally that person that she just bird nested money all throughout little pieces of the house. And, you know, my brother and I, we were only a year apart. We'd come to her, and, you know, there's a little grocery store down the street, and she would let, you know, we were like 8, 9. She would let us walk down there for a treat. And she, you know, she'd give us a dime each, and we'd have to make it work. So I think about what you were saying about, you know, trying to teach your kids money. And I don't know that, again, I don't know that consciously she was trying to teach us about money, but she was very truthful. She didn't, she always tried to figure out a way to say yes. Because there was a lot of no's. You know, we can't buy the brand new store, you know, we can't go to the store and buy a brand new toy. Christmas and birthdays she made super special, because those are the times that you get something extra, you know. And so my dad was an electrician, and he was a hustler. I mean, I love the name of your show, because it's so fitting. It's so fitting, you know, parents are hustling every day. And but my dad was an electrician, and he went from job to job. Sometimes he didn't even know. He had this green paneled van, and he had full of all of his tools and wire. And he, you know, he would go out into a job site, I remember, and he coming back saying he's so happy because he got a job today, you know, and it's going to last us for a couple months or whatever. So he was always out there just looking for a way to make money and bring it in. And he got a job with aluminum, Reynolds Metals out in Longview. We were growing up in Kalama, Washington, actually, is where my early young years were. And then he got transferred out to Troutdale, and that's when we moved to Milwaukee. And we were he was a renter. He never was able or felt that he was able to buy a house until he got that job in Troutdale. And so here we are in Milwaukee, renting, and there's a piece of property right across the street, virtually, that went up for sale, just the land. And he goes, I think we could build our own house. And that was kind of this, what? You know, it was like a total out of the world dream for my parents. Aww. And I was in high school when it finished. And so I think back about what I learned. You know, it's hard to analyze yourself about where did these ideas of money come from, and how is it that, you know. And I have a younger brother and an older sister, and I think I got the money gene, because there's just a lot of information that they're always coming to me, and even before I was a financial advisor, they were like, hey, I got this idea, what do you think? And so maybe I was just a really good sounding board and good listener. But I think about money in ways that between both parents, you know, I am the saver in my marriage. My husband is kind of I always say he's the visionary. He always kind of comes to me at the beginning of a year and, hey, how can we? And he's always asking me how questions. How can we make sure the kids get through college? How can we make sure blah, 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 vacations and all of, you know, I think we're going to need a new car this year. And so as soon as he starts asking me those how questions, my brain just starts, you know, formulating pathways and figuring out which buckets we're going to need and how we're going to start funding that and paying down this. And so I'm very much, you know, that I just think about money in ways that I don't are outside of the box, I think. And that's
Right.
probably what helps me always. And like my mom, she always figured out a way to make it work. It might be a little bit less than you thought, but it's gonna, there was a satisfaction in knowing that she was on your side. So I think I get a lot of that from her.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You said something that really resonated with me when you said, I don't know if my mother was consciously teaching us about money, but she always figured it out. And I talk a lot about this with my other guests, to where, whether we like it or not, our kids suck it all up.
Yep.
And whether we say we teach it to them or not, what you show and what you do really is what you're teaching your children.
Exactly.
And it's super powerful how you absorbed all that as proof positive that really is the teaching that we get from our parents and we give to our kids. Because you can tell them what to do all day long, they ain't doing it.
At least they don't do it in front of you.
You show them what you do.
Yeah.
And man, they, like, my kids is just starting to grasp the idea now of, they thought that we just have the cash to pay for a house. And they didn't understand the idea of loaning money, and how when one day I told them, like, we owe money to the bank. We don't own our house. And they're like, what do you mean we don't own our house?
Yeah.
Like, we live there and you say you own it, but you say you don't, it's that, like, there's no education about that. And I think that as early as they teach the kids with sex education, they should do hand in hand the financial education as young as middle school, like they're doing.
Absolutely. No, I don't think, in fact, I don't even think there's any time that is too young. And to talk to kids about money. I remember Max, and this is, he was probably 4 or 5. And being the only kid, well, I remember going to Burgerville, one of those mad dashes to get him one of the Happy Meals, and try to get him from point A to point B. And it's funny because the toy that was inside the sack, when I kind of, tossed it in the back, he's like 4 or 5 years old. And here's your dinner or your lunch or whatever as we're running. And he opened, he goes for the toy first, and he like rips it out of the sack, and he's like, he looks at it and he kind of tosses it back into the front seat. He goes, this isn't a toy, this is a savings bank. And what it was a little plastic thing that had 3 sections and a coin slot for each of the 3 sections.
Aww.
And when you actually opened it, there was these little stickers, and it said save, and the other one said me, or to spend, and then the other one said to give away. And it was 3 sections. And I'm like, I was working as a financial advisor. So he didn't want it as a toy. I took it and I was using it as visual aid to a lot of my workshops, because wouldn't that be cool? I mean, you have to, and that's how, and I was teaching Max, so he may not have liked the idea. It wasn't like a robot or something, but I started when he got allowance, or when he got money from birthdays, from grandparents or something, I go, it's a third, a third, a third. What are you going to do? A third you can spend, a third we're going to tuck away and open, let's go open a savings account at the bank. And then a third goes to charity, or if you want to give it to a friend, or if you want to give it to a cause, or if you want to start to do something with that money and cause a ripple effect. And so that's how I taught, and he is a saver. To this day, he's got thousands of dollars sitting in his savings account, and he's looking for a chance to buy a house. So any chance or opportunity that comes along, the kid's got 3 jobs, and he's got excellent, he has, virtually everything is on his plus side. Good credit, and he's got money sitting in that bank waiting for a down payment. So
you know what, we have a neighbor kid that's about Max's age, and we've seen him, like, he's been taught about money really well, and his parents lived in the house that he owns now. His parents retired and moved to Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh wow.
And he bought the house from his parents. It has 4 bedrooms in it.
Wow.
And his wife, he's not wife yet. I think they just got married, but they've been living together for a long time. And she's a nurse and he's studying to be a doctor. So really have their head on straight. But, I've seen them when they were high school, like that makes me feel old. When we were pushing around our kids, it was our neighbors had our kids' age. So we were pushing around our kids in the neighborhood. And then now the kids that were watching us pushing around our kids are now getting married and having kids while our kids are growing up. So it's like this whole cycle. But we've seen Michael, his name Michael, like buy this house from his parents when he was working for Albertsons.
Yeah.
And now he's going to be a doctor soon. And he bought this and rented the other bedroom, so they essentially don't have any mortgage because it pays for it. So the other 3 bedrooms, they have tenants, and we're just like, wow, I want my kid to be like this kid.
Yeah, I sit there and think about, because I kind of did the same scenario for Max. He said, hey, Mom, I'm going to move out. I think I need a roommate. We're going to each probably put in about $800 is what we can afford. And you know, housing is so expensive in Portland, of course, anywhere right now. And I said, okay, wait a minute, Max. And I pulled out my calculator and I said, for $1,100, you could own a less, you know, like $150,000 to $170,000 house, fixer upper, because he can put in floors, he can do all kind of the basic construction. And he said plumbing was the only one that he was nervous about. But I said, listen, if we can get you into a house and you're spending $1,100 to own versus $800 to rent, and then you have a second bedroom, you could do the same thing. You can charge whatever you want to for that bedroom, and you'll be set up for the next house that you want to buy. And you know, so if my parents had even given me an inkling that could, because I was a saver, if I ever thought I could at any, 26 and buying a house. And
oh my gosh, I know.
Can you imagine? That's just amazing. So those are the things that I feel that we really, we owe that. And I'll say we because of being a mom, but I'll also say we as a financial industry, we have obligations and we're not stepping up. We're not teaching people. We're not giving them the time they need to digest the information. I always feel that, financial planners, and I'll just be very general about this, but they're taught to sell. They're taught to give you a product today and move along because it's on their time frame. Everything is set on the advisor's timeline. It's not based on the client's needs. Maybe they need to get out of debt before they can start thinking about savings. Right. And so I just sit there and I want to give people the time they need to really think about it and really understand it and then be able to ask lots of really good questions. And so that's the space that I've provided for my kids. And yeah. I think that thank you for saying about that modeling, because I think that's very true. We do things without thinking we're teaching, but it's really how we want them to act and see that it can work,
Yeah, they mimic what you do. And then the other piece too is like I had a niece that just in England. So I have 2 nephews and a niece in England. And she really looks up to me. And it's really difficult because it's like, she was like, I babysat her when she was a newborn. I was 16 years old. And so she kind of looks up to me and all these things that I'm doing. And when she graduated college, she had, obviously a good job, still living at home. And she asked me what she should do. And I said, hey, number one, before you even start making money, you need to sit down with a financial planner. And the number one thing that I think there's a resistance to is, well, I don't have money. I think there's that disconnect that you have to have a lot of money to sit down with a financial planner. And so I go to her, well, that's why you should sit down with a financial planner, because it's their job to accumulate you money. And and she was like, she couldn't get it, but she was like, oh, okay. I said, when I was an insurance professional, I am still insurance, but when I had my captive practice where I had auto home, and then people sat down with me when they're new drivers, I educated their new drivers. And I'm like, why can't parents bring their new income earner, new kids that are coming in the job market, instead of like teaching their kids the consequence of drinking and driving and all these other consequences, we can model the same thing and have parents bring their teenagers, like, to have a third party teach them about money, because like I said, sometimes our own kids doesn't listen to us.
Exactly.
And it's easier to have a third party / professional educate them. And then when they have a question around that topic, you don't have, like, if you don't want to talk to mom, talk to Lisa.
Yeah, no, that is one of the premises and philosophy of my company, is that all income levels. And seriously, I talk about, the people that we meet all the time that have barely 2 nickels to rub together at the end of a paycheck. And I get, I actually have a story about that. I was doing a workshop, and I was
heading that direction.
Well, and the thing is this woman,
I'm glad you're talking about it.
She sat in the front row. And during my, I was teaching about it was money concepts, and it was actually for small business owners. We were talking about business. It was called Business Killers, How Not to Kill Your Business. So we were talking about just fundamentals about how to maybe set things up now, so that when you get down the road, it doesn't become a huge landmine. And so she sat there and she listened, and she was a little skeptical. She was kind of tisking a little bit and had her arms folded. And I said, any questions? And she, promptly raised her hand and said, okay, Lisa, I hear what you're saying, but I don't understand this. How is it that you want to even work with someone like me? I've got credit card debt that I'm starting my new business and putting debt onto the credit card. I've got, student loans still to deal with. I've got, I'm just now starting to get clients, but I really haven't seen a lot of profit yet. I don't get it. How I don't have anything. Why do you want to even start talking to someone like me? And it was the same question that your niece had. And I said, well, let's play a game. First of all, I'm going to tell you that you've been brainwashed. My industry has told you that you have to have lots of zeros and commas and tons of money to sit down and prove your worth to a client, to an advisor, before they'll even speak to you. And she's like, what? And so I put my iPad up to the screen, and I said, let's just play a little money game, right? And so I put up, and I said, let's make sure that, like, between now and the next 12 months, let's say you make $50,000. You bring in at least $50,000. That's your baseline, and no more, no less, just $50,000. And let's just also say that you're in your mid-30s. You'll live on this planet for 60 years. And she goes, well, I'm 36. And I said, perfect. You're going to outlive the norm, but let's go 30 years. And I typed that in. And I said, okay, well, I'll give you a little grace. Let's put 2% cost of living, as if it were compounding, and you don't have to eat cat food by the time you're 96. And so I put in 2%, and I hit calculate, and I said, my industry wants you to believe that you're not worth anything until you have money. But I want to tell you that you're a multimillionaire to me, because the number came up to $5.5 million. And I said, you're a multimillionaire. I go, you're going to produce this much income, never more than 50,000. And I'm going to be begging you for your business today, because I can help set you up. Places that you don't even think you're going to go yet will need an account, will need tax savings, will need to know strategy and how to make sure that your money goes harder and longer for you. And she's like, okay, you got me. And I said, and bonus, I won't even charge you anything. We'll sit down as many times as you need to, as many appointments. We'll map out the plan. I will never charge you upfront for any of my time or the plan itself. That's what my industry wants to believe, that you have to pay for the charts and graphs. And that's, I don't think so. I think we can work and map out a plan together. And all I ask is first shot, because I'm a broker, then just let me shop the market for you when that account pops up and you decide that you want to open up a new account for $50 a month. Let me do the shopping and find that for you. So that's really this essence of how I see our industry needs to work with people.
Wonderful, because there's I love that, because there's a firm in Vancouver, as you know, that's where I'm at, Washington, that will not even give you a second of their time unless you have $500,000.
I know.
And I that's just like,
it's so dysfunctional. It's dysfunctional, yeah.
Because I come when I came here, I literally just have my clothes, and weren't even like good clothes when I came from the Philippines. And so when you're being told that you have to have $500,000, and I'm like, okay. So in the meantime, I just spend my money away, not knowing what to do. So I learned a lot the hard way. I had $22,000 in credit card debt. Nobody taught me anything. I learned everything on my own. And then I started reading, and, you know, like, you can learn a lot even just on the internet, just read financial articles and whatnot. So luckily I was exposed to an aunt that's very savvy financially. She's single. She owns her own home in Southern California, which is very expensive, very frugal. So I learned being very frugal from her, because coming from the third world, it's all about, I think we overcompensate our being third world people with the brand names, the Louis Vuittons, the Guess, the Tommy Hilfiger, the Calvin Kleins. Like, that was really huge, and we were brainwashed. So we had to, in order to be, keep up. It's like these fronts, right? And so when I came to America, I was actually, we were staying in my aunt's house because she was single, and she had 4 bedrooms. So it was me and my sister in 1 bedroom, my mom and dad in another, and then my brother in another. So we lived there, and she would take us to these thrift shopping, flea market, and she literally, like, we used to laugh about her furniture, but now I have furnitures like hers. Like antique, like, I'm like, it's just not my style. Like, I want expensive, nice furnitures. But then she started educating me about these antiques and how much they're worth. And I'm like, wow. And she gets them from flea markets, and she, she's probably a multimillionaire. I just don't know, because she never steps foot in a mall. She buys everything secondhand, and she puts them together too, like, really nicely. But $20 at a thrift shop was too much for her. So she always go below $20. I mean, she taught me all these things by showing me, not by telling me. And so I literally had a reborn. Financially, I was reborn. And now I'm very, very frugal like her. And, you know, and being frugal in a smaller scale, actually over time, like it shocks me how much it adds up over time.
Exactly. No, I'm very much like, no, that's very cool, because I think as women and as moms, like, I'll go to a networking event and someone will say, oh, cute dress. And I'll say, oh yeah, I got this like $7 on Ross, you know, or something. And my husband one time was actually with us, and he's like, why would you say something? Why would you tell him that you're buying clothes at Ross? And I'm like, because I do, and because I want to buy 2 dresses for, you know, under 20. I don't want, I go in and look for quantity and quality, and I don't want to, I want the cheap of the cheap. I want the discount on top of the discount with the coupon, you know.
Never pay full price. I tell my kids that. Never.
Yes. No. And so, if I, you know, it's a proud moment for me to say, hey, you know, and the gal who works with me here, Christine, she's actually she's going to be doing an event that's called Diva on a Dime, because she is the best at it. I mean, she's taught me stuff, and I have always been like, I love the thrift stores. I love consignment. I love going to even Goodwill. I mean, I love all that kind of stuff. And with, you know, Halloween coming up, my kids and I, even my 26-year-old mom, let's go to Goodwill so I can get stuff for my costume. And but yeah, she finds the name now. So I never really cared much about the name brands, but she will find, you know, Calvin Klein, or she'll find.
But if you get the name brands from those stores, like,
I know,
for me, I don't care about them anymore. But when I see them in Goodwill and all these places, I'm like, scored.
I know. So she was wearing something the other day, and she goes, this is a Calvin Klein, and it was $99 marked original price, and I got it for $9.99. And I'm like, that's awesome. So yeah, I think again, as women, we need to support each other like that. We need to tell people,
Yes.
all the good deals. We're much more apt to say when we got a good deal, when we feel like we got really satisfied, and we want to share that information, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, I went to this, it was a fundraising dinner for the Northwest Association for the Blind.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to Goodwill a lot, especially when I only wear the dress once, right?
Yes.
And in Goodwill, they get a lot of Target brands with tags on them.
Yes, they do.
Now, they do a lot. They even get some from Macy's. They get a lot of those with tags on them. And so I actually look for the ones that are new.
Mm-hmm.
And I found this velvety dress. Like, it was I'm like, score. It's a Target brand, and it was like $9.99, and maybe at Target it was $39.99, right?
Right.
I put it on, and then I found a brand new shoes at Goodwill that's gold and strappy. It was brand new, never been worn. You can tell when it's brand new. And I put them together, and it was like an under $20 outfit.
Yeah, and you felt like a princess.
And everybody was like, "Wow, you look so beautiful." Yeah. And I'm like, "Yep, Goodwill, baby." And it's like my husband just, "Why would you say that?"
I know, they just don't understand. It's like a badge of honor, that it's a score. It's a big time score. And I think about,
if you look at my if you look at my profile photo after we get off, I have this green, like army colored jacket, navy colored jacket.
I noticed.
And I got it at Goodwill. It's a Forever 21. It's like $49 at Forever 21. And I always look at Pinterest, and I look at Pinterest what's in, and then I go look for it.
Yeah.
And hunt for it. And I'm not in a hurry to find it. Books I get from Goodwill, like a lot of my books back here behind me are from Goodwill. The books content doesn't change, right?
Nope. Yeah,
it's the same for $1, and I go to like a Christian thrift store down the road here in Vancouver. I get like books for $1,
Yep.
Helps them, and it helps me.
And women, I think too, also, we have to make our dollars stretch longer because we do live longer, right? So it's a natural progression of, if like, you can buy name brand and go ahead and pay full price. But when I sit there and think about, how many more things could you have gotten if you gotten it on secondhand or in outlet malls or whatever. So I'm
Burlington Coat Factory is beautiful.
Yeah.
So we talked about the lessons you learned from your mom about money. Mm-hmm. Was there any other lessons you learned from your mom growing up?
She was. Money part? I always, she passed away when Pearl was about 7 months old with cancer. And I think about her, and she was always the true optimist. So I think if I got any skill or quality from her too, it was about, and maybe it was, there's always a way. We got to figure it out. We just got, we're just in a crunch now, but we got to figure it out. And so that true optimism, I've always, the sky is the limit, and glass is always half full. I've always just been that kind of true optimist. So I trade that much to my mom and my grandmother. My mom's mom was, she was always around. She was, when you think about Sundays, I always think about everybody, all just traipsed, the kids, the dogs, everybody showed up at grandma's house on Sunday. Wow. at some time, some came after church, some came, more in the mornings. It just depended on their daily schedules, but that was the hub. She was the matriarch in every sense. And so, I think my mom, I always, my house is pretty loud, even with just 2 kids, and my husband and I, we always kept the front door open. The coffee was always on, kind of thing, because I wanted our kids to feel that sense of, everyone's welcome, and bring your friends. Plus, as a mom, there's a little bit I can watch you and make sure you're going right.
Control freaks.
maybe that's what she was always doing too, because she always said, "Oh yeah, invite your kids, your friends over for dinner or whatever." So just always having everybody around, to me, that
Oh,
it symbolizes love, in every respect,
yes.
is just being with your friends and your family and having everybody just hang out and have their time of whatever they need. And so that to me is another thing I think my mom definitely instilled in us. So yeah.
Wow. I love feeding people. So
Mhm.
especially kids and their friends. Like,
Yeah. I
um,
don't
I just love doing
I don't cook. I prep and I set tables and I clean really well. I
it.
don't know. I don't understand the cooking thing as well, but I can tell you that I do a mean bag salad and then I add cranberries and nuts, and I can up
Yes, I
level
do
any
that
kind of
too.
salad. Yeah.
Yeah, in a Ziploc and just shake them.
Yeah, the blue cheese and just kind of throw it all. Yeah, I can up level any salad on a good day.
So
Yes.
did you, so what you learned from your mother, you're actually obviously applying that to your own children, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
That you're
don't think we
doing?
have, that's our guiding stars, right? Those are the people that we don't know any different, and it felt good. It always just felt, you had this huge, and that's maybe why I'm a big hugger too, because I always felt like I had this, warm, loving embrace of just support and be who you want to be. So yeah,
Just felt at home for you,
yeah,
right?
definitely.
So, technology is amazing.
Yes.
And I don't know if your kids Google you, but my kids Google me.
I could tell you, well, Pearl, my daughter, she's kind of like, get over yourself, mom, I just tease her. I tease her because she has such a great reaction. I mean, the 17-year-old with the rolling of the eyes and the upping and the puffing, and I'm like, Pearl, I put on my mom voice, and she go, Mom, just get over yourself. Come on,
Oh
And I'm
gosh.
like, oh
If
God.
Pearl and Max were listening right now, what message would you tell your children?
I love them, and I just want them to be the best selves that they can be, and I want them to, I think tolerance is something I've always, I've always wanted them to accept and not judge people, and adapt to different cultures and the way that people think, because it's a cast of characters. I can't tell you how many times, you look around your family, you look around your workspace and people that you work with, we're all cast of characters. We all have our own individual stories and motives, and, just give grace to everyone. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that's pretty. That's beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're welcome. Thank you for this. This is fun. This is a great time.
It's awesome. Last question.
Okay.
What is your definition of a mother hustler?
Mother hustlers, I used to say it would probably be those that can multitask, but what I've found now that I'm over 50, is that you need to focus on the thing, give yourself top 3 priorities, give yourself top 3 ways that you like to have fun, and how to balance things, but keep those top 3 priorities, prevalent in the way you speak, the way that you voice your opinion, honor and respect others. But there's a good way to disagree, and everybody has their own opinions about it, but there's always a way for compromise. So I think about, yeah, I think that's probably part of it, is the idea that we all are important and we all have value.
Wow. I could hear your mom say, there's always a way.
There's
You just
always a
said it.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much for giving us a slice of Lisa today and giving
You're
us
welcome.
the time. I know that you're busy, so I really appreciate your time today. And
You're
thanks
welcome.
for, talking about money, talking about your goals with women, and really, educating us about
Yeah.
that there is no minimum. And if there's moms out there that are listening, and where I'm coming from is that one of my clients really came crying to me because she was sitting with a bunch of financial planners,
Mm-hmm.
and she literally felt like she was a piece of what when she
Yeah.
walked out of there, and she walked out of there crying.
Yeah.
And so knowing that is that you're changing that,
Yeah.
and you're blazing the trail in that, and allowing people to feel so good when, even with that story and example that you shared with us, with letting a woman know, 36-year-old woman know that she is a multimillionaire and doing the math for her. I think that's such a refreshing twist to financial planning. And I've actually never heard it before until
Yeah.
today. And you shared that story, and stories are super powerful.
Yeah.
So I commend you for blazing the trail in this arena, in
Thank you.
changing that. So for anybody out there that feels like they don't have a lot to speak with a financial planner, Lisa is your financial girlfriend. Can you tell them, Lisa, as a closing, where they can find you, social media wise, and your website and all that good stuff?
Yeah, no, social media is definitely the place to find me. I'm on Facebook, My Financial Girlfriend. So it's at My Financial GF if you want to do the short version of the Facebook thing. LinkedIn, I'm on there as well. It's under my name, and it's Lisa Brumm, Brumm. And my office here in Portland, Oregon, downtown, we're at the Pearl District, so we actually have really good parking. 14th and Northwest Irving on the second floor. So we're in, phone number, all that stuff is contact information is through Facebook or LinkedIn. Google me. I think I'm showing up on different platforms, and Kareen, I can't even thank you enough. This has just been such a wonderful morning to spend with you, and you're doing some really awesome things yourself. So you inspire me, and I want to, we've got big things to do, and we can support each other in all the things that we want to accomplish. So thanks.
Yeah. I'll swing by one day and visit your office, because I haven't seen the new office.
Yeah, we're very urban chic. So I wanted, again, a space that gives people, not the tried and true archaic financial industry. I want it to be new and fresh innovation.
Awesome.
And I want people to feel, I'd love to have financial girlfriend centers all over the United States where people just feel that they can it's approachable. They can set an appointment. It's a no judgment zone, and just work out whatever questions they have on their pace.
That's awesome. And I'll put your link in the notes of the podcast so people can see it. I always do your Facebook and your website there, so at least they can link up to that. Yes. Thank you again, and have an awesome rest of the week. I really appreciate this. It's such a good conversation around being a mom, talking about money and our children. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, Lisa. Have a great day.